Good evening. The earthquake is bigger and more shallow than the magnitude 7 that struck the country 11 years ago. The Prime Minister is saying it is very simple. If you want to travel or you want to get into doors like the ones there behind me, you have to be vaccinated. New tonight from Ottawa's top doctor is that we are now in the local transmission phase, which means this virus is circulating in our city. I'm just going to be blunt here. Why are vaccinated people getting this virus? Just to give you an idea of the magnitude of this fire, I'm going to step out of the frame for a moment here. I want you to take a look behind me, and we're going to stay on this shot for just a second because we want to show you the water gushing out of the front entrance of that restaurant. I'm standing on a permanent berm here, but take a look over to my left. You can see a temporary berm. Richard had been keeping tabs on just how quickly the floodwaters were moving into his backyard. By 11 o'clock last night, the water had reached this point. We are just hours away from an expected election call, but Liberal support is slipping. Police have issued a Canada-wide warrant for a second man wanted in connection with the murder of a Western University student. Begin tonight with a surreal scene and the aftermath of what is already being dubbed Panda Party Pandemonia. A street in Sandy Hill was swarmed with students, some of which were seen standing on top of a flipped car. What needs to get done to get that vaccination rate above 90 in the coming weeks? Because cash incentives in Alberta don't even really seem to be working. In a rollout riddled with delays, there is new confusion tonight when it comes to the distribution. Based on the province's allocation by per capita, out of the 2.3 million Ontario received, just over 133,000 went to Ottawa. A discrepancy of 1.3%.
Where is our supply going? Is it going to the GTA?
We do not have enough vaccines from the federal government, and it's a joke. 55th in the world. I've done. Sorry.
Only about 10% of Canada's population has received at least one dose, though the federal government today confirmed 1.5 million AstraZeneca shots on loan from the U.S. will arrive now in just days.
Will the government commit to equitable distribution of the vaccines that it does get?
We will when we get it.
We have vaccine doses.
But just this morning in Toronto, the mayor made a plea to fill 30,000 appointments, opening them up to those 70 plus.
We have vaccine supply we've been waiting for, but we have the supply.
Ottawa is not receiving its fair share of doses.
A different story back in the capital, where the city says it has the capacity to vaccinate, but not the supply.
We have people now from Ottawa going to Kingston and going to Charlotte Lake to get vaccinated. It just doesn't seem to make sense.
Also causing confusion is the 4-month wait now for the second shot, after Ontario deferred doses amid supply shortages and a bid to get jabs into more arms more quickly.
July the 16th.
16th of July sometime.
The federal government, though, has suggested those dates could change in the coming days after new data found extending the interval could lead to reduced efficacy. Meantime, the province made a public promise tonight. Ottawa will get its fair share.
Because of the way it started, it has to be some adjustments. That's been occurring, but that's what the commitment is going forward from here. Allocation by percentage of population.
I also asked him if he would commit to equitable distribution of the shots that we do get from the federal government, and he and General Hillier both made a public promise moving forward that will be the case.
How are you going to get people to comply with this? Because right now, I would say the frustration and the pushback is probably at an all-time high.
Why bring out Chrétien now, 48 hours before the election? Are you worried? You say you're honoring your commitment to try and get a federal Conservative government elected. Where is Doug Ford? Don't you think he should be honoring that commitment as well? How can you criticize any Conservatives for maybe their past when the Prime Minister himself is apologizing for something like this? Health, though, is standing firm, responding to my request today with the same statement as I was given yesterday, referring back to their online receipt, essentially saying if people need proof, they can print it. Well, we did print it. It comes with a watermark, like they mentioned, but this copy I'm holding doesn't have a digital signature, so there is confusion, too, over just what that is. Tonight, sources do tell CTV News the Premier is now considering a vaccine passport for Ontario, and it could come as early as next week. This just hours after Justin Trudeau took a shot at Doug Ford, calling on him this morning to, quote, step up. On an election path paved by pandemic promises, in Ontario today, the Liberal leader took a shot at Doug Ford while making a $1 billion pledge to pay for vaccine passports.
Already, Premier Horgan and Premier Legault have stepped up. And I certainly hope that here in Ontario, Premier Ford steps up as well.
Vying for votes with a vow to boost vaccination, Justin Trudeau has seen his lead in the polls slip as COVID cases across Canada continue to climb.
What the Liberals are trying to do is to make vaccinations a wedge issue, try to connect Aaron O'Toole to Premier Ford. He's not as popular as he was a year ago, and the Liberals are trying to take advantage of that.
Responding to Trudeau in a statement to CTV News Ottawa, the Premier's office said Ontario has the most comprehensive, far-ranging mandatory vaccination policies for high-risk settings in the country.
If the provinces make decisions on proof of vaccinations, vaccine passports, we will support and respect what the provinces decide to do.
But sources tell CTV News the government is now considering implementing a form of a vaccine passport, and it could come as early as next week.
For it.
You're for it?
For it, yeah. It's not that I'm against vaccination. I'm against losing my rights, though.
Ford has so far refused to bring in vaccination certificates, fearing it could create a, quote, split society.
We haven't heard anything from central leadership at the Ontario, at the provincial level, that this is something that's going to happen.
Some economists, though, now are projecting provinces without a policy will be the hardest hit by the fourth wave.
It terrifies employers who realize that this could cost them a lot of money. It's not about ideology. It's not about politics. It's about risk and safety. You've got to demonstrate that you are not going to put everybody else at risk.
And there are suggestions tonight the government is only delaying the inevitable.
Once case numbers really begin to rise, we hit the very exponential rising curves of cases, for instance. Bringing measures in at that place has less of an impact. The time to do it is now.
Taking off tonight, what the Trudeau Liberals say is one of the world's strictest vaccine mandate policies.
The rules are very simple. To travel, you've got to be vaccinated. If you want to continue to work for the public service of Canada, you're going to need to be fully vaccinated.
The more than 300,000 public servants, for a total of 1.2 million federally regulated employees, must declare a status of vaccination before the end of October.
Members of the public service who are not fully vaccinated will be placed on administrative leave without pay as early as November 15th.
While any employee who lies, according to the Prime Minister, will face, quote, severe consequences.
They're trying to push the vaccine, and this is the easiest way to do it.
And while the vast majority working for Canada's biggest employer have so far rolled up their sleeves, one tells CTV News not all are on board.
He says because he just doesn't believe in it. If it comes time, I'll just retire.
Allegedly willing to walk and soon forfeit flying too. In just weeks, passengers without proof of the double dose will be barred from boats, planes, and trains.
I have to have proof of the vaccine to get to eat in the Burger King. I think it's fine.
Trudeau did say there will be a 1-month grace period starting on October 29th, where unvaccinated travelers and staff can instead present a negative COVID-19 test result. But if by the end of November you don't have this paper or a digital version of it, you're not getting past these points.
Vaccination is our way out of this.
Ottawa's International Airport didn't wait for the federal government to act, like other industries already imposing a requirement for proof of immunization.
After the first step of September 15th, it's leave without pay, and at October 15th, it will be termination. We will be ready when the federal mandate is in place.
Among the hardest hit by COVID-19, this airport saw its more than 5 million travelers per year pre-pandemic dwindle down to less than 1 million. But among them is this mother whose ticket today is for so much more than just a flight. It's a pass to freedom.
It's my first time since it started. I'm going to see my daughter. Can't wait to see her. It's been so long.
Really, you must be so excited.
Oh, yes, I am. I can't wait to hold her and hug her, like you're supposed to,
So right now in Ontario, this is really all we have to prove our vaccination. Trudeau says he is working with all the provinces to create a standardized vaccine passport system. But until then, this will largely be up to the airlines to implement. And with the holidays right around the corner, this could get complicated. Patricia?
All right, CTV's Christina Succi live on O'Connor for us tonight.